If you visit an old farmstead, you might notice a large tree in the middle of the yard that does not yield any apples or pears. At first, you will think that it is a decorative tree, an ornament for aesthetics. But you might have come across an actual sacrificial tree or ancestral tree. Even if it would be random ornamental tree, its use in the yard comes from pagan tradition to sacrifice for a specific tree that should not be cut unless you would want to bring down the house and its living occupants. These gardening traditions are remains of lost pagan worship rituals. For example, if you live in a city that has juniper trees planted around the streets, then the reason for this tradition is that the lightning does not strike on juniper trees. Where does that belief come from? Apparently, thunder god Thor saved himself from drowning by grabbing onto a juniper branches. This juniper tree that rose from the harsh rocky land and bared beautiful red berries was seen somewhat unique tree by the ancient people. When Finns built their houses, they would sleep under a tree the first night, and the earth people would give them the omen where to build their houses. This tree that they slept under would become their holy tree, where they would worship their ancestors and sacrifice for them food items from different seasons during the year. These trees would symbolize an agreement or pact with humans and earth people. These trees might be somewhere else than near the house, like near a field of grains, where it would take valuable land away from the crops. They could be pines, birches, oaks. The type of tree would depend simply on the family. Brothers living in different houses would have similar tree type that they would use as a place of worship. Catholic Church was not that interested in these symbols of pagan customs in Finland. It was during the Reformation in the 17th century when these trees and sacred groves were seen as heresy, and they were being erased from the landscape. I doubt that the peasants treated these fallen trees as normal lumber and probably hid some seeds from these trees to plant their ancestor tree in some place that would be kept as a family secret. Despite the Puritan faith, even in the capital of Helsinki, one can see an old ancestral tree that stands to this day. The world tree was the origin myth of the world that connected the earth and sky deities together. It is obvious that trees were generally seen as connective tissue of the world that binds some sort of rules for society. For example, when the dead were buried, the funeral party would make notches halfway through the journey on the surrounding trees to mark the border which the dead can't cross, because obviously the dead would try to return to their home. These markings are also one thing you can spot from these trees hundreds of years later. Remember whose side of the border you are when you notice these markings.